Hi everyone, good to see you again. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday before Christmas. Want to wish everyone happy holidays. I'm coming to you live today to talk about a topic that was requested to us by some of our clients. And as you can tell, I'm in gorgeous sunny Bay Area, and I'm just definitely enjoying the sunshine. So what I want to share with you, there are 5 tools or components to effectively delegating, and maybe we'll make this into a formal video later down the road, but for now I'm just going to share with you the 5 components to effectively delegating. And the first is it might seem like a no-brainer, but identify the tasks that you want to delegate. And I want to specify, make it the tasks, not necessarily the responsibility. For example, I might say, I need an account manager to handle our accounts or to handle our clients and make sure our clients are satisfied and we deal with any issues that come up. That's pretty broad, and finding the right person and being able to delegate and let go of control on that piece gets more difficult the broader the task is, or the definition of what you want them to do is. So try to get really specific on the tasks that you want them to do. An example, I was talking with someone yesterday about, I call it the thorns in your side. So the thorn that's annoying you the most, start with that task, no matter how small it is. And then as that task no longer becomes a thorn in your side because you have effectively delegated it, then the next thorn in your side will start to annoy you more. And that's the task that you can focus on delegating next. And just keep going down the list. Now, it might be that, for example, email is such a huge thorn, and how do you tackle it? How do you effectively delegate email to someone else? And maybe you don't have the answer to that, and that's okay, because as you get rid of other thorns, that thorn becomes less annoying, that email thorn. And eventually a solution might present itself to you. For example, right now, a thorn for me would be payroll, but I don't yet feel I have figured out the best way to delegate that. So I keep doing it, but I delegate other tasks that therefore make the payroll thorn not as annoying in my side. So that's step 1, or one component, is identify the task or tasks that you want to delegate and really get specific on them. The second component is called the 5 levels of delegation. And if you Google it, you'll see a whole bunch of people and consultants and whoever claiming that they're the ones who came up with it. But there's basically 5 levels of delegation, and all the articles say pretty much the same thing. And the first level, level 1, is pretty much where you want them to do exactly what you said and how you said it, and how you showed it to them. And so there's no real thinking as far as decision making involved. They're doing it exactly the way you want them to do it. And then level 5 delegation is where they are making decisions and they are taking on full control and full responsibility, and maybe not even updating you on the decisions they're making. And then the 3 levels in between work up to that. So level 2 might be they research and give you the research but don't make decisions. Level 3 might be that they research and give you recommendations, and but you still make the decision. And level 4 might be they make the decision, but they take action after you approve it, or they're updating you about the decisions that they made. And so now that you've identified the task or tasks that you want to delegate, next figure out the level of delegation that you want that task to have. And different tasks will have different levels. And so one task might be a level 1, one task might be a level 3 or a level 5, or it might be that it's going to be level 1 and then they're going to work their way up to level 5 as you trust them. But the key thing is that you identify what level you at least want to start with, because then now you know, okay, this is a level 1. I want to do a level 1 delegation. So I need to find someone who's okay with a level 1, because, there are a lot of people out there who like to think and take action on their own, and they're not so good with taking instruction. And that's not a bad thing. That it's just that you want to make sure they're doing level 3 or higher work, and that ones who are able and willing to follow instructions completely without having to make decisions, that they will take on your level 1 and level 2 tasks. And there are some who can only do level 1 and level 2. They do not have or will not build those critical thinking skills to get them up to level 3 or higher. And so that will also help you recognize how to pick your virtual assistant, but also if you already have 1 or 2 in place and you know, okay, this is a level 1 task and they are not so good at level 1. They're good at level 4 and 3 or 5, but they're not so good at just following instructions or doing it exactly as I say. So I should not give it to them. And same with the vice versa. Oh, this is a level 4 task. They're not able to do level 4. I don't think they are, so I should not give it to them. So with every task you want to delegate, you want to think about the level of delegation that you want. And it might be that you're the type of person that always only wants level 1 delegation, or you only ever want level 5 delegation, or it varies by task. So when you know that, you know what you can, what level that you should delegate to, and then with whoever you have on the team already, or when you're looking for someone new, you know what level you're looking for. Related to that is the third component, which is determine your communication expectations. So for example, when you say you identify your VA and you want to delegate to them, and you just want it to be a standard expectation that they are going to complete whatever task you give them within 24 hours or 1 business day or whatever it is. So you want to make sure that you communicate that to them. And then also and it might be determined based on your level of delegation. How often do you want them to update you, and how? Like if they send you a task, if you send them a task and the standing expectation is that it be done in 24 hours, do you want them to text you when it's done? Do you want them to email you? Or do you want them to, or are you just going to assume that it's done? And if they don't do it, you're going to have problems later. So figure out what your communication expectations are, and then make sure you share that with your VA and make sure they agree to it. Which leads into the fourth component, which is set the groundwork for feedback. And so it might be that you say, okay, I think this is a level 4 task, delegation task. And so let's try it out, but it might change. Or I think the task should be organized this way, but I'm not sure, so let's touch base. And so when you create an open communication like that, one, it makes it so much easier to give feedback when they're not meeting your expectations. And two, it allows you to be open to feedback as well, for them to say, well, I think it could be done this way, or this is where I'm getting stuck. And so what is your expectation around this? So lay that groundwork to, one, be open to feedback, and two, to make sure they're open to feedback so that you can share, hey, I know I don't want you to update me whenever you complete a task, but I do expect you to complete it within 24 hours, and I just want to check in with you and make sure that's happening. Or, for example, with one of my employees, when we first started, we didn't have, or I guess a little while after we started, we decided a weekly check-in call would be a good way for us to keep updated on what was going on in each of our areas that we were working on. And so we've been doing that now for a while. And then even that weekly check-in call, we recently changed the structure of it. But the thing is that when I first hired him, I made sure that he was okay to feedback, and I told him what I thought it was like to work with me and things like that. And then also, he has been very open to feedback and has even shared ideas with me, which hopefully I have been open to as well. And then the last component, which might be sort of the meatiest as far as tangible steps, is build what I call a set it and forget it system. And a set it and forget it system has 3 components: a trigger, the tools, and the actions. So if you think about, use monitoring voicemail as an example. What is the trigger? Maybe the trigger is you want them to check it once a day, twice a day, or however often, and you can say, okay, you're going to check it at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day. So then that's the trigger that they know they need to check your voicemail twice a day at those times. Then the tools are, what are the tools they need to get that done? They need access to your voicemail. You should probably have like a company phone like Google Voice or Grasshopper or RingCentral or something like that, where they can log in without having to use their personal number to return calls. Then they need to know what are the parameters for returning calls. For example, if they are people wanting to schedule appointments, or if you're confirming appointments, or things like that, that they know how to respond. So they have a script for a voicemail and a script for a live call to address whatever issues there, whatever the person calling, for whatever reason they were calling. Or if it's that you just want an email summary of all the voicemails and the contact information for who to return calls to, or if it's an urgent call, what should they do? So they need all the tools in place in order to take action. So they need access to your phone, your voicemail, access to the company line to be able to make outgoing calls, and then the scripts for voicemails and return calls, and the parameters for whatever they need to, whatever actions they need to take, such as scheduling a call or updating you on what the voicemails were. And then the third component is actions. So what is the action they need to take? So then, in this case, at 10 a.m., they log in, they listen to all your voicemails, jot down a summary of each one, return the calls of the ones that they have been given the parameters to handle, such as scheduling or confirming appointments, things like that. And then sending you the summary of the actions you need to take and the actions they did take. So that's the step 3 is what actions they need to take. So that's an example of a set it and forget it system, because now they are doing this on their own. They're not needing anything from you to get it completed, but they are able to get it completed and get that thorn out of your side. And so that's the part that might take time to invest, to build, but it's worth it. And sometimes I know I hear that a lot of people say, well, it only takes me 20 minutes and it would take me an hour to build the system and then train them on it. So it's not worth it. But then think about it this way. If it takes you 20 minutes, but how often do you do it? If you do it, 3 times a day, then you're going to get your return on your investment in one day. But if you do it 3 times a year, then you're not going to get your return on investment. So then maybe you shouldn't worry about delegating that right now. So think about it that way. The time it would take to build a set it, forget it system, and then the time it would take to train someone, how many times would you have to do it by yourself before you would make up for that time that you're investing in building and training? And is that worth it? Is it just a week? Is it just a month? If it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, maybe it's not worth it. So think about it in that regard. Or make the task smaller so you can delegate some of it sooner. For example, a business owner asked me about, he was researching companies to call and then calling them and then putting in plans to follow up with them. And he was having trouble being willing to let go of that and to delegate. And so I said, well, why don't you make it smaller? Just start with the research first. Delegate the research side of things while you still send the cold emails or make the cold calls and do the follow-up notes afterward. And then once you get comfortable with them doing research, then maybe you could have them take on the calls or take on the follow-up notes, and et cetera, et cetera. So if it seems like it's too big of a system to build, then break it down into smaller components and build a system for that first part or second part, if you will. All right, so those are the 5 components to delegating effectively. First, identify the task specifically. Then determine which of the 5 levels of delegation would be appropriate for that task. Third, identify your communication expectations for you to them and them to you. 4, lay the groundwork for feedback to both sides. And then 5, build a set it and forget it system. All right, happy to hear your thoughts on this. And like I said, maybe we'll make this into a more formal video later. But share your thoughts and any questions and share this with your friends. All right, hope this was helpful for you. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and the rest of the holiday season. I say happy holidays from Halloween to the Lunar New Year. So the holiday season takes up a good chunk of the year for me, and I hope you have a good rest of the holiday season, and I will see you next week. All right, thanks. Bye. Take care.